Some days begin like any other. The sun rises. The road stretches ahead. The heart feels light. But by evening, everything can change. On a quiet highway outside Montgomery, Alabama, a simple drive home became a battle for dignity. Judge Mariah Coleman was returning from a judicial conference. Her heart still carried the words of the keynote she had given that morning, about justice, equality, and the need for compassion in the law. As she drove, her mind wandered, thinking about her next case, about her daughter's upcoming piano recital, about the small, ordinary moments that filled her life with meaning. She didn't notice the police cruiser at first. The siren was a jolt, sharp, invasive. Flashing lights painted her car in blue and red. Instinctively, she slowed, signaled, and pulled over as she had been taught. Her hands, steady, moved to the top of the wheel, clearly visible. She had lived too long in this world not to know the unspoken rules for people who looked like her. The officers approached aggressively. Their footsteps were heavy, deliberate. Through the window, she saw two white officers, their faces unreadable, their hands already twitching near their holsters. The taller officer rapped on the window hard, his knuckles loud against the glass. Mariah lowered it slowly. "License and registration," he barked. No greeting, no explanation. Mariah met his gaze with calmness, masking the ripple of unease that ran through her. "Officer, may I ask the reason for this stop?" Her voice was smooth, practiced. The officer's jaw tightened. The second officer leaned closer, scanning her face, her skin, her clothes. "You fit a description," he said curtly. "Step out of the vehicle." Mariah's heart skipped a beat. She knew this phrase too well. Vague, legally meaningless, a pretext. Still, she complied, unbuckling her seatbelt, moving slowly, announcing her actions aloud as she had taught her own son to do. As she stepped out, she felt the immediate shift, the harsh grip on her wrist, the cold snap of handcuffs biting into her skin. A car door slammed. A voice crackled on the radio. They treated her like a suspect. Not a judge, not a citizen, but a threat. The second officer whispered something into his partner's ear, and they patted her down roughly, their touches brusque, dismissive. On the side of the highway, traffic rushed past, anonymous witnesses to her humiliation. Still cuffed, Mariah said again, "I insist you call your supervisor." The officers exchanged glances. One laughed under his breath. And then, a shift. One of them peered into her car. He saw the briefcase. Saw the gleam of the federal badge. His face went pale, almost green. "Judge," he stammered. "Judge Coleman?" Mariah said nothing. She didn't need to. The silence itself was heavier than any words. They scrambled to remove the cuffs, their hands fumbling. Mumbled apologies spilled from their mouths. "We're sorry, Your Honor. There was a misunderstanding. There's been reports." Mariah's voice cut clean through their excuses, her dignity untouched. "You didn't ask for my license. You didn't explain the stop. You saw my skin and made a decision." The officers' faces burned red. They begged for forgiveness. Begged her not to make it a bigger issue. But it was already bigger than them. That night, Mariah sat in her living room, the television blaring reports about the judge wrongfully detained on the side of the highway. Her husband, Senator Daniel Coleman, sat beside her, his hand resting protectively over hers. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. Mariah stared at the screen, her jaw tight. "I'm tired," she said. "Tired of fighting battles I didn't start." But inside her, something had shifted. A deeper resolve took root. She could not let this be just another headline. Just another two-day outrage before the world moved on. At the press conference, she faced a sea of cameras and flashing lights. "This isn't just about me," she said, her voice steady, each word landing like a hammer on stone. "This is about every person who doesn't have a badge to save them, about every mother, every brother, every child who can't pull rank to survive a traffic stop." Her words rippled through the nation. Activists, lawmakers, clergy, all called for change. But Mariah didn't wait for change to come from others. She created it herself. Justice in Every Town, her nonprofit, was born out of fire and compassion. She traveled relentlessly. Police departments invited her, sometimes reluctantly. Recruits shifted uncomfortably in their seats as she spoke. But Mariah wasn't there to shame. She was there to teach. She told her story without anger, but with unflinching honesty. She spoke about implicit bias, about fear, about power and the responsibility that came with it. "Bias," she told them, "is a weed that grows where ignorance is left unchecked. Pull it out." Every day. In every interaction. She spoke not just in police academies, but in churches, universities, and town halls. She appeared on television shows, her calm authority a stark contrast to the outrage swirling around her. Slowly, change began. Departments adopted anti-bias training programs modeled after her teachings. Supervisors were held to higher standards. Anonymous citizen surveys were introduced after traffic stops to hold officers accountable. Mariah's story became a symbol. But she never let it become just a story. She pushed for legislation. She testified before Congress. She used every platform given to her, and everyone she had to fight for. One evening, months later, Mariah returned to that same highway. She pulled over to the same stretch of road where she had once been humiliated. The sun was setting, painting the sky with fiery oranges and soft purples. Mariah stood by her car, breathing deeply. She wasn't seeking closure. She didn't believe in it. She believed in continuing. She whispered to herself, "I am not defined by what was done to me. I am defined by what I do next." And she drove forward, her headlights cutting through the coming night, blazing a path not just for herself, but for generations yet to come. Because dignity cannot be arrested. Justice cannot be handcuffed. And a single act of courage can ignite a revolution. In a world where judgment is too often passed in an instant, where appearances deceive and justice sometimes stumbles, there are those who refuse to be silent, who turn pain into purpose, and darkness into light. Judge Mariah's story reminds us that dignity, once claimed, can never be taken away. That one voice, steady and unyielding, can change an entire system. And hers was only one story. There are countless others, stories of courage, of faith, of redemption, waiting to be told. If you believe these stories matter, if you believe in the power of truth and hope, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Together, we'll continue to honor the lives that inspire us. and the quiet revolutions that change the world. One story at a time.